I want to jump right into the numbers, guys, because I saw two polls this week that I thought were frankly shocking. Here we go. The first one, this is from CNN. Which one person best reflects the core values of the Democratic Party? Open-ended among Dems. The top person, drum roll if you're listening, if you're watching, you already see it. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez was the top for 10% of Democrats said that she represented the values. Then you have Kamala Harris at 9%, Bernie Sanders at 8%, Hakeem Jeffries at 6%, Barack Obama at 4%, Crockett at 4%, all these people we don't care about, we don't know, all the way at the bottom. And then 26% that have no opinion. And I actually think that number is kind of fascinating because I think it shows how, first off, no one has a large majority. The top number is 10%. And granted, there's a lot of names here, but when you have such a disparity of percentages and then you have no opinion at 26%, I think that means that the Democrat Party stands for nothing. No one knows what it stands for anymore. Obviously, the more progressive base and the non-liberal base tends to be at the top, because we see Kamala Harris, Ocasio-Cortez, Sanders, and Jeffries is at the top. So clearly the progressive wing of the party is the most unified. But the other people are like homeless. Like there's nowhere for them to go. And I think if you look at Republicans, that 26% no opinion sees that group, because I think those people are looking at it and truly thinking, I got nothing. I have seriously no idea what this party stands for. Here's the other fascinating thing about this. If you look towards the bottom, some of the more practical people, I'm not saying they're people I agree with, but some of the more practical Democrats are at the very bottom. It's like the least practical people are at the very top, and it's inverted in many ways, which is true for this second poll as well. This one is very definitely inverted. This is for the 2028 National Democratic Primary. The first one, this is a head-to-head matchup, and this is Kamala Harris versus a generic Dem, and we'll talk about that in a second because that is really fascinating. Kamala Harris is at 49% versus generic Dem at 42%, but full field, which is a lot more interesting because it's like actual real people. Kamala Harris is at the top with quite the lead, 33%, to Pete Buttigieg's 10%. So she has a 23% lead on the next Democrat. Under that is Newsom, Ocasio-Cortez, Walz, Crockett. It's like the worst people at the top, like really the worst people. I'm sorry, I'm looking at this politically for a second. Obviously, I'm conservative and I'm a Republican, and I don't like any of these people on the list, but I'm just thinking politically. In my mind, who has the worst chance? If I was working for the Democrat Party and I wanted them to win, who would I say has the worst chance at winning? It is their top five. Kamala Harris, Pete Buttigieg, Newsom, Ocasio-Cortez, Walz. Like, those are the worst people. And again, that inverted, you're seeing the inverted on paper, because if you look at the bottom, you've got Stephen A. Smith. Look, I'm not saying he's going to be president. I'm not saying that he would even be a good president. But do I think Stephen A. Smith is more likable than Kamala Harris? For sure. And I know a lot of Republicans that like him. If you look at Gallego, for instance, so I think Gallego is solid, no, but he at least comes from a purple state. And then you look at other people like Warnock, again, don't like him, comes from Georgia. Fetterman, I actually kind of like Fetterman. A lot of Republicans do too. He would be a good independent voice. Sure, he's going to piss off the progressives, but he's going to bring a much bigger group together. So those numbers are really fascinating. Basically, all the purple state people are at the very bottom, and all the deep blue, crazy socialist nutso jobs, Harris, Buttigieg, and Newsom. You've got like nutso jobs, but then you also have Buttigieg, he's not necessarily a nutso job. He is, but he's just a nothing. Like, in terms of what he believes, he's a nutso job. In terms of like what he's actually done to further the Democrat agenda, he's never done anything. He's actually done nothing. And then, of course, you have people who would actually be kind of formidable, like Josh Shapiro or Fetterman, and it got 2%. So they're dead in the water. They're not even going to be able to compete for a second. But here's the crazy thing that I want to talk about with the first head-to-head versus Kamala Harris poll. This is really, really important. If it's not a real person, so the generic Dem is just, hey, would you rather vote for just any old Democrat or Kamala Harris? And usually in polls like this, it's always better to be the generic Dem because it's kind of a cop-out, right? It's a cop-out for voters. They look at it and they're like, well, I don't love Kamala Harris, but generic Dem, I'm a Democrat. So yeah, generic Dem it is. So usually the generic person wins in those polls. The thing is in this one, Kamala Harris wins the generic poll by 7%, so quite handily, which means to me that Kamala Harris is not running for California governor like people are talking about. She's just not. Kamala Harris is running for president again. She absolutely is, and it would be crazy not to. Frankly, I'm just being honest. Like, if I'm Kamala Harris and I'm looking at these numbers, I have 49% to against anybody, not a specific person. If you go specific people, then it's like she has a 23% lead, not a 7% lead. But if it's any old person, it's 7%. I'm looking at that as Kamala Harris, and I'm thinking, yeah, I'm running for president again. And I think if she ran, I'm pretty sure she would win the nomination, at least as of now. If you look at the numbers, no one's even close to her. And obviously things happen in the campaign. People smear each other, debates happen, and things happen, and all that's fine. And Kamala Harris sucks at being in a primary. We know that because she lost her first one, and then the second one she was just put in there because she couldn't actually successfully win a primary. Maybe that wouldn't be the case the second time around, though. I'm not so sure it would be because of the fact that the polls look so strong for her. And again, it's music to my ears to hear this because I don't think Kamala Harris can beat any Republican. She is such a weak sauce candidate. That's why it's so surprising to see how powerful she is in the eyes of Democrats, because nationally, she is totally weak sauce, and she's marred by a few horrible campaigns as well as a horrible presidency with Joe Biden. And I just don't think people are going to even be able to forget any of that, even if Republicans don't put up a great candidate. We don't know what the Republican nomination is going to look like. It looks like J.D. Vance has as much support on the Republican side as Kamala Harris does on the Democrat side. So it seems very likely that it would be him. We don't know that for sure. But if you've got J.D. Vance versus Kamala Harris, I don't even know what to tell you. Like, that can't be close. I don't think that's close. I think Donald Trump won the popular vote by 1.5%. I think J.D. Vance wins by at least that much. And that means he takes every swing state with him. And so I just don't know how, again, as a Democrat, you would want Kamala Harris as your nominee, but they do. So I think that's what we're going to get. There's only 1 month left to file your taxes, and the IRS is coming for your money. Fortunately, I partnered with Quick Tax America, who hates the IRS as much as you do, so they fight to get you every dollar back possible. This year, Quick Tax America has already gotten its average tax returner $3,000 back from the IRS, and unlike the other services online, they are not raising rates in March and April. They do all federal tax returns for only $69. It's a completely transparent price because it's their only price, no matter how complicated your taxes are. They do all the work as well. All you got to do is upload your files, answer a few basic questions, and schedule a 15-minute finish your return call with a tax professional, and they do all the rest of the work. So go check them out at quicktaxamerica.com, or you can go to the link in the description below. Thank you so much for watching, guys. If you haven't already, go down below, like the video, subscribe to my channel, and watch another video.